Oh, I'm not audible. I'm audible, guys. I'm not audible, right? How is that possible? I can see.
All right. What? How's that possible? Give me 1 second. How's that possible? I can see. Okay, now I think it's fixed. I think it's fixed. Awesome, it's fixed. Lama. What is wrong with?
OBS today. I don't know. Am I audible still?
How's that possible? I can see. Okay, now I think it's fixed.
Yeah, it's fixed. Perfect. Guys, drop me a one if you can hear me in the chat. Loud and clear. Raj, can you make a public announcement in the Discord server that we are live with Chetan KVS, the design pilot himself? Let's go. I hope the Google Meet guys are not able to hear me. Yeah, they're not. They are clueless. Awesome. Vanshika, Shubham, Bhushan, Sahil, Ved, Saket. How are you guys doing? Shreya. Woohoo! Nikita, Amruta. Today we are really, really pumped up, aren't we, ladies and gentlemen? Uh, so today we have all the way from Berlin online, obviously. Chetan KVS, the guy who invented not being an NPC, Wali Cheese, right? He's a legend. He's a true legend, and today we have selected few of the guys to ask him questions face to face in a Google Meet. One huge announcement I want to make, and I'll drop in the announcement when we hit 30 likes on the stream right now. Guys, go and smash that like button. तो करना पड़ता है यार, देखो थोड़ा सा इन्फ्लुएंसर हमारे को ही बनना पड़ता है. यूट्यूब हमारे को तभी खुश रखेगा, राइट? दे विल ओनली रिकमेंड अस when we actually use their hard worked features, so called features. Come on, guys, hit the like button and I'll drop in the announcement. We won't wait for announcements. Let me know if I'm visible. Camera is on. Awesome. To be a little bit here. Awesome. So, guys, today we have a small presentation. So, welcome to the Truth Bomb. First of all, let me know if you guys can see the screen. There will be a slight delay in the stream, just a slight one. So, we'll start. So, I think it's visible. It's clearly visible. So, welcome to the Truth Bomb with Chetan. So, which is before I give uh, the announcement has to be told. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Am I audible, guys? I think something is wrong with the mic today. Something is really, really wrong. Am I audible? Yeah, I think I am audible. So sorry, guys. So sorry. Obviously, we had to start with a bang, and we did, apparently. Give me 1 second. I'll rejoin the Google Meet where everyone is sitting for us. And we'll quickly do the announcement before I join, and I'll just complete the announcement as soon as possible. All right. Yeah, awesome. बहुत ज़्यादा सीन हो गया guys. I'm so sorry. Guys, I think everything is sorted back again. I hope. And we'll quickly do the announcement. Let me know if this is visible for you all. I think it is. So as I was saying, is this visible? Yeah, there's a huge delay. Shit. So I proceed. One crazy announcement for you all is that we are hosting another banger competition after October after 4 5 months, and the competition is returning. So Brandcraft season 2 is back, where you all will be learning some new basics and new trends about branding and what is currently going on in the whole creative field of branding and advertising. So where obviously we won't cover the basics because I think the basics you all know. So it will be a more dive deep into the new areas of branding over as a whole, and we'll proceed with a competition where only 100 people are allowed. So the workshop will be only catered to 100 folks who register as soon as possible. So right now on the stream there are 81 people, 81 different cute semi designers are watching this stream, and if you all register on the spot, you get the क्या बोलते हैं उसको, it's because it's first come first serve, you will get the ticket. And there is 10,000 rupees on the line for the winner, and the fees obviously is there. There's a 500 rupees fees. I'll tell you why. The fee is for us to make sure you all show up, because last time when we made Brandcraft, we got over 900 participants, and from those 900 participants only 100 people showed up. So we don't want that to happen again, and we want only the cool people who actually want to invest in the quality learning, and so that the whole aura of the whole event is maintained throughout, right? Because everyone has paid. So links drop after the session, and that's it. I'll completely move to the Google Meet. Um, I have joined now. I think, am I audible, sir? Hello, hello.
Yep.
Awesome. Give me 1 second,
Yeah.
guys.
Yes.
Let me have a quick check. So sorry for the delay. Apparently, OBS crashed 2 times, and I had to restart it. I thought the stream is lost. I have to recreate everything, but thank God to YouTube, we are saved. Hi, Chetan sir, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. And we already have the people who got selected to ask Chetan his questions. So, guys, ये कैसे जाने वाला है ना? I'll tell you. Uh, I'll be taking names of people who are here to ask Chetan the questions. We carefully selected each one of the questions so that not huge, there's a simple flow maintained for everyone to just understand stuff. These are questions which are the most asked questions, and some specific scenarios which can help you all understand things better. So we'll start with Amol. Amol, the stage is yours. I'll turn off my camera and put the spotlight to Chetan sir.
Thank you, Vansh. Hi, Chetan. So just we had a conversation right now, and I told you I really like your videos. They have helped me actually a lot to learn about the UX designs nitty-gritties, and already answered several of my questions. But yeah, there were some, so I wanted to ask you. So first one goes like this: in my current role, actually, I don't get much of opportunity to have direct user interactions or feedbacks. So basically, I receive requirements from stakeholders directly. So to avoid that, any kind of no research thing, so I start with questioning them to know about their idea or reason behind that requirement. So to have a better understanding about the problem. Then right after that, I jump to competitive analysis where I explore some of the internal applications so that get to see some features that are already there, also abiding by the company style guides. But jumping onto the external, I use Mobbin, Design Inspo, something like that. But often I get access issues or subscription. There is a limitation there. So, do you think that this approach that I'm jumping from the questioning to directly on competitive analysis suitable or appropriate in this position? And how can I ensure that my research and competitive analysis align with the actual user needs?
Yeah, got it. So I think competitive analysis is a different part of the process. Asking questions is a different part of the process. You usually do competitive analysis when you have figured out what the requirement is, what is the problem, what is the high level solution. And then you want to see, you're looking into essentially patterns and UI and flows, right? You don't do competitive analysis. I mean, at least junior designers, we don't do competitive analysis to identify problem to solve or whether we should have this feature. We don't do comparative analysis where we say, okay, these 5 products have this feature, so we should also have it. That is typically not our job, right? And there are PMs for that, and then the leadership have their own goals, right? So just because 5 other products have this feature doesn't mean that we should have it. Maybe we should, but maybe not today, right? So I think comparative analysis is totally left to you when you have to do it. Depends on how much information you have and where you want to get started. There could be a very big project, and you might want to start off with maybe just 1 or 2 flows, and so you do comparative analysis right in the beginning so that you have something to start discussing and even showing to engineers, or getting some high level feedback, or seeing if the company wants to go in this direction, right? So doing comparative analysis is fine. I don't think this should interfere with asking questions. It's not like they're mutually exclusive. Both of them have to be done together, and it's up to you to decide when you want to dive into competitive analysis, right? But obviously, doing that, the first thing is obviously wrong. You obviously want to understand a lot more about the project and the requirement, than moving to competitive analysis.
Okay. Thanks so much, Chetan. Second, I would like to ask, like sometimes there isn't a good amount of research behind any some design decisions that we take. It could be, let's say, I find this element or the experience just on the visual aspect. So there should be always a good point or reason behind any kind of design decision that we do. It could be small thing like button, or I would say a placement of an element. Sometimes it's a visual appeal that gets to us, but not a solid reason behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So is there, or there should be always a reason behind it, or what? How should I follow this one?
You mean in terms of like button placements, or in design decisions for what exactly?
Yeah, design is, let's say I'm placing a button somewhere. What I feel is there are several UX laws that we go by, and something that okay, this feature should already be here and it is provided to the user. But sometimes there is no solid reason behind why I'm positioning this here. It's just the visual appeal that I'm liking. Okay, this is much more suitable here, and it does the work that I require right now.
I mean, that's a good reason. That's still a reason at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day. Whether your reason is logical or illogical, that's
Mm-hmm.
fine. But at the end of the day, it's a reason, and you are basing it on something. What you are basing it on could be wrong, and that is definitely
Okay.
your experience and your craft as a designer to know whether this decision is right. You make the right
Mm-hmm.
decision or not, right? But if you think it is working, and if you think it makes sense to keep it there, and the reason is you are making that decision because you know something, you know that either 5 other apps are doing it, or you know that this is the pattern that we follow across the app, this is what our design system allows, so there is some reason. Now your job is to question whether we should continue doing this, or we should challenge the status quo and see if we need to rethink this, right? Does this button have to be here? Does it not have to be here? What are the pros and cons of moving it, right? So yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chidan.
Awesome.
Yeah, Vansh, that would be all for me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anmol. Next up, we have Simran.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
So first of all, I would like to thank Vansh for setting this up and allowing me a chance to talk directly to Chetan. So Chetan, hi, my name is Simran and currently I'm a master's student of design. I have two questions. So my first question is, yeah. So my
Awesome.
first question is
Guys,
like
there's
how
a
to
cool session going on right
ace
now,
interviews,
and I am
especially when
tracking
it
every
comes
single
to
thing. ये देखो यहाँ
showcasing
पे
your
सेशन
work,
चल रहा
and
है
how
एंड
should you
iPad पे भी
document
सेशन चल रहा
everything
है
to present it
एंड मैं यहाँ पे
effectively
लाइव भी
during
कर
an
रहा हूँ. क्या
interview?
बात है? So I'm dropping the
What's the
link right
best
now for
way
this
to
session.
explain your
Sorry for the
projects,
disturbance, but
and
I'm
where should
dropping the
we
link right now
start?
for you all on
Like
the
where should
story.
we,
Go join this free session
focus? Like
because
what should
you're
be the
gonna get some
priority?
crazy insights. Join
Uh,
with a pen and paper
yeah. So
because
this
it's
is my
gonna be
first
really,
question.
really cool. All the best,
Got it.
and I'll
Have
see
you
you because
attended
I have
any
an announcement to
interviews?
make
Do you
after
have any
this.
experience
So
with
stay
that
tuned. Bye
yet?
bye.
Yeah. So it was my first experience giving interviews. So actually, I started my placement drive and I got shortlisted in 7 companies. But unfortunately, I didn't make up. Uh, I didn't get shortlisted further. So at that time, I thought like maybe my work is good enough, but I'm not able to present it. Like how to set a framework to present your work within a time limit. So we have to present our work in let's say 10 or 20 minutes. So within the time constraint, I was like struggling to present it effectively. So yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So this, when it comes to interviews, there is a lot of things that I can really say, to be honest. And I'm going to, speak about this in like various parts, because it's very hard to just say this in like 2 minutes. First of all, the easiest is when it comes to time management. This only comes through practice. So you prepare your deck and then you just practice and practice and practice, right? So you sit in front of a computer or a mirror, time yourself, and then you do it, right? This is something that you will have to do because whiteboarding rounds are also are time restricted, and there they will also test how well you manage time, because asking the questions, thinking, coming up with solutions, answering their questions, all of that has to be done within a certain period of time. So this is like, it's not about how fast you can think. That's not the right thing that you should people measure. But you know are you utilizing every minute that you have efficiently is essentially what they're testing, right? It's okay if you don't sort of come to a conclusion at the end of the whiteboarding round, but did you utilize every minute of that session effectively is one thing that they're going to do. So time management, irrespective of the company, irrespective of the project, that is something that is totally left to you, and you have to just practice and do it, right? And I think if you restrict yourself, you will also realize where are you wasting a lot of time talking about irrelevant things, and where you should do it, right? I think, you will get it. And I think also I would suggest, sit with your friends or peers or seniors and then just get their advice. They don't have to be great designers. They will be capable of giving you some sort of advice, saying that, maybe you repeated this 3 4 times, so don't say this. Or, I think you're talking about research so much, so maybe cut it down by half, whatever it is, right? It could be anything. So practice for that. Now, coming to what projects to show, what interviewers look for, the thing is, it is impossible to know the answer to that. It is your The thing is, every company looks for different things. Depending, first of all, agencies, service based companies, product companies, they all look for very different things. And then in that, every company looks at different things, because every company has its own requirements. Somebody wants people who are very good at UI design. Somebody wants like a generalist who's pretty good at everything. Somebody wants, they should be really good product designers, but also maybe have additional skills in graphic design or motion design. So you will never know what is the right way to attempt an interview, right? And there is, even if there is nothing you can do. I mean, you can't learn all these skills immediately within 2 3 days and then get ready for the interview, right? So I think what you essentially have to do is try to keep polishing and making the best of whatever you have created and whatever you have. That's it, right? If you feel like interviews are not working out and you want to take a break for a couple of months, then that's a different conversation. You come back, sit, you reevaluate, maybe you pick up another project, you do something else, and then you apply all over again. But if you're in this interview streak, then there is not much you can do, and you have to keep refining and polishing it. This is the most helpless situation that everybody goes in, because what can you do? You can't really do anything, right? um, you just have to sort of, I would say, get lucky where what you can offer and what the company wants aligns, right? If a company does not want you, it may not be because you're not a great designer. It may mean that we don't that you don't that you may not have enough skills as to what they want, right? It's not that you're a bad designer. They expect more from you. That's about it, right? And yeah, I think the most important thing here is that every company's requirement is so different. So maybe something that could help, but I don't really believe it helps. But if you at least read the job description, it will give you some sort of an idea. And at least in the first interview, whoever you speak to, I don't know if it is the HR or the junior designer or whatever, try to ask them, what do you want in a designer? What do you expect from me if I were to join this company, right? Maybe that information is helpful, maybe it's not. It's maybe you can take that information, and then you want to take a break, you take that break, and then you apply to that company again, so that you show progress, right? So interview is probably the trickiest part. And I would really, I mean, I think it's basically luck as to you getting the right interview at the right time. Because even somebody who might be 5% better than you is going to get the job over you, right? And there's not much of a skill difference between, if there's a 5% difference, right? Maybe somebody presented their case study so well, but maybe you didn't do a great job, but they did a very good job. It could have been a simple project, but they explained it very well. That's more than enough for somebody to select that other person over you, right? So I think the best way to get over this is to keep trying and failing. And everybody has gone through this. Nobody just applies to one company and gets it. You always get 90% rejections, like including me when I moved to Germany. Same thing happened. But that's how it is at the end of the day, right? So yeah.
Okay, thanks. My second question is like, how can we ensure that we stay focused on our design goals without being sidetracked by the data points that we collect from our primary or secondary research? What strategies can we use to determine which data points are relevant and which basically one we should uh, disregard? Which data points should we consider and which to ignore, basically.
When you say data point, can you give me an example? In what
Uh,
context?
I mean, let's say I had a conversation with my target user. Uh, I got to know their pain points, their problems, their journey, everything. So while talking to them, basically we come across a lot of things. They talk about a lot of things, and we basically write down everything that you know, they they tell us. So my question is how to be on the right track, and not get distracted. This is basically what I usually struggle with.
When you say how do I be on the right track, is that your question?
Yes.
Right track for what? I'm sorry, I'm not able to get the question fully.
Uh, so let's say my research is completed now. I am on my design phase where I'm making my design decisions. I'm creating my user journey map, my research, everything. So uh, let's say there is a user who is saying one thing, and there is another user who is saying one thing. How to make sure that which data point is relevant to my, like which one which one should I prioritize, basically. Uh, I hope you are able to get what I'm.
Yeah, I think this is how do I say that? I think this is how pretty much you approach every project.
Because
You take
most of the time I get distracted with a lot of data. I don't know what is the right path to choose, or how to define my goals effectively. So this is the design phase is something that I struggle a lot.
Yeah, so typically this problem occurs when you follow a very structured design process, which real designers in the real world, we don't follow a structured process. We don't collect all, like we don't start designing until we have, I mean, we we have to gather requirements and understand a little bit of pain points, understand the impact, but all of this we don't start, you know like we start it as soon as we can. We don't wait for everything to come to us, right? Because research is going to be done 100 different times. It's not going to be done only once in the beginning. So if you start collecting and you have this huge pool of information, you will obviously be overwhelmed because you don't know where to start, right? So if you so maybe one advice, I mean, I don't have much context here about what you're trying to what project you're talking about, but if you are feeling overwhelmed, then don't do too much research, right? Maybe speak to, I don't know, one or two users, and that's it, right? If you feel that information is enough, then start, and then if you get stuck, then try to get that information later, right? Don't like speak to 10 people and then get 10 different opinions, and then you're like, oh my god, what am I supposed to do, right? um, as you grow, your ability to handle more information becomes easier with experience. So even if you are bombarded with 15 types of information, you know how to sort of segregate each of these items and know where do I use this, right? But as a beginner, I would say, spend less time on research and all of this extra thing. And especially if you're not, I mean, this becomes easier if you're working in a company, because if you're working in a company, then you have a team, and it's going to be a team effort, right? So it's not that you are doing every single thing. But if you're doing this in a school project or like a side project, I would say start with minimal amount of information and go from there. And I think the first thing that you should do is define, create very simple user stories of this is what the user wants to do this one particular single task. To do this, what information do I need, right? If you think of it that way, then you can go through that entire list and see, okay, is this information going to help me design this? Is this information? No. So then you start eliminating all these things that you don't need, and then just focus on solving that one single problem, right? So always have that user requirement or problem that you want to solve. Try to narrow it down as small as possible. Don't keep it too vague. um, and hopefully I think that should help you. But again, I don't have much context here, so I don't know how to sort of personalize this for you. Yeah.
But I got some clarity. Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
nice.
Thank you for that question. Yeah.
Yeah, you had another question.
That's it from my side.
Okay, okay, got it.
All right, so next up we have Divya. I want guys, before we I proceed, please turn on your cameras because you are visible to 90 other people who are watching us live. So cameras, as I told you, mandatory for everyone. And Divya, all over to you.
Is my voice clear?
Yes.
Yeah, hi Chetan, hi everyone. Chetan, my question to you is actually I'm curious about what the designers and what the design culture is like outside India. So basically, I've worked with different designers outside India as well. So what's the standard? How they process? Is there any difference in the skill set? So also, if someone from India wants to crack an opportunity outside India, what are the opportunities actually look like? And like, is there any different way or path we need to follow?
Yeah, I think this is a nice question. Um, to start off, I don't see honestly much difference between working in India or working there. Like in terms of design skill set, you have great designers here, you have great designers in India. You've got all sorts of designers, right? Um, and I think the market is pretty bad everywhere. So I don't think whether you work in the US or Europe or India, I don't think that's any difference. The population is pretty high everywhere, so the demand is also pretty high everywhere. So I don't think that's anything. um, in terms of getting a job abroad, I would say this is not something that should be your goal for, I don't know, at least 3 to 4 years of your career. And when I say 3 to 4 years, 3 to 4 years of actually working in decent companies and shipping and having a wide variety of projects in your portfolio, right? I mean, all of the projects don't have to be in your portfolio. That's fine, but you should have worked on a lot of things, and you need to have a good amount of experience. Because so I think if you talk about US, I mean, it's very rare to get a job without doing a master's there because of the visa. So the easiest way is to go to masters, but doing design education, that's a totally different conversation, right? But if you really are desperate to get a job in the US, then you have to do masters, right? It's I at least have not heard anybody who has just gotten a job directly, from India. um, Europe is obviously a lot easier. It's much easier to get a job here compared to the US, but again, companies are not willing to sponsor beginner or junior designers who haven't done enough work, because it is expensive for the company as well, and the rules here are very different. So companies don't want to really take that risk, right? And I don't think you should also be taking that risk, because here we have a 6 months probation period, and they can send you out of the company within those 6 months without any questions, or without any justification. That's how the law is over here. And so if you are sent out of the company within 6 months, what are you going to do, right? Because your visa is sort of attached to the company. So essentially there are too many, too many
I
things
got
can
the
go
gist.
wrong and going right, if you're a junior. So I would say at the moment India is really good. I would say stick here, and I would advise everybody to be here, and not really think about coming outside. Even if the culture is bad in India, you are going to learn more in India than outside. I can say that for sure, right? And I know a lot of people compare countries, but you will have really bad companies in Europe, and you will have good companies in Europe. You will have toxic companies in Europe, and you will have good culture companies, and the same thing applies in India as well, right? So you have all sorts of companies everywhere, and where you get essentially makes the difference, right? So you could still get into a very toxic or a bad or a company that doesn't value design or doesn't have much designers in Europe, right? They will sponsor your visa, but that is not why you came to Europe essentially, right? So that's the thing. I mean, even if you take, I don't know, Singapore, you take Asian countries, I think all of those, pretty much the same. So that is my perspective of coming abroad. Of course, I think other designers have different perspectives, but I'm just sharing mine. Yeah.
Yeah, got it, understood. So basically, the standard stays the same, India and elsewhere. That's okay. Got it.
Yeah.
One more question I had was, so currently I am a PD1. So you have talked about multiple times the competencies needed to be a good PD1 product designer. I want to know, so what needs to be next, and what competencies you need more to take that jump from PD1 to PD2 or any other lead role in the future. So how the design path journey looks like in terms of competencies in the corporate world.
Yeah. This is also a good question. So, first of all, this totally depends. So, if you're talking about PD1 to PD2, every company's definition of PD1 and PD2 is different. So
Yes.
if you are talking about for your company, moving from PD1 to PD2, this is a conversation you need to have with your manager. That's about it, right? You
Yes.
ask them, what do I need to be promoted? They will tell you, and you do it. That's it, right? But if you're talking at an industry level, although this is not defined, but when I say industry, I only talk about the requirements of the top 15 or 20 design driven companies in India, right? That's what I consider as industry benchmark, right? If you really want to make a good career, you have to work in one of these companies, or at least close to one of these companies, right? And you need to know what it takes. So I think, given you get paired up with the right team, you get paired up with the right engineers, with the right product managers, assuming all of this is in your favor, um, because the thing is, all of this also plays a very big role in your success. I like to give this example where a lot of us, we have our favorite, I don't know, movie stars or film actors or singers or whatever, and we typically like them or remember them because they worked on a movie or an animated film or a TV show of. Can you hear
Chetan,
me?
your voice, yeah, your voice cut off in between.
Okay, got it. So basically, I'm saying you don't remember someone because of a bad movie that they acted in, or a bad sang their song. You typically remember them because of some movie that went popular. And so essentially, if you also as a designer have to really grow in your career, you need to be paired up with the right people. So although this is absolutely not in your control, this is pretty much one of the most important things. And the thing is, it doesn't matter what company you really work in, at least in the beginning stages of your career. If you get paired with really smart people, that's all that matters, and then you start building up from there. You build your product sense, you build your design sense, you build your engineering sense from there slowly over a period of time, because you work with these really smart people, and then they ask you really good questions, and then you are forced to think in really complex ways, right? So this is the first most important part that none of us have control over. And even me today, when I mean, I've been in Trade Republic for 2.5 years, and I will complete 3 years very soon. And I also got very lucky with the fact that I got into a good company and a good team. There's no way for me to control any of this, right? So even if you join a good company, there are chances you will get paired up with the wrong people, and that will essentially affect your ability to showcase your potential and be a good designer, right? So that is one part. Now, second part, to talk about things that are in your control. I think every it's hard to say these are the 5 6 things, because everybody starts at a different level, and you need to identify what is it that is easy for you to learn. And so for example, for some people, knowing how to use tools is very easy because they have used tools in the past. But for somebody who is using these complex tools for the first time, for them, learning how to create screens in Figma is a nightmare for them, right? Because I've seen this. People, they have not really used any design tools in the past, they've not touched anything, they probably used only Excel or Microsoft Word or something like that, and now suddenly you have to use this complex tool like Figma. They are going to struggle, right? But somebody else may find it very easy, right? So essentially, what you ideally need to do is, your for the next 5 6 years, your job is to just keep making a list of skills and checking them off. The thing is, it's hard. I can't tell these are the 5 things you have to do, because these may not align with your goals, and these are may not be the things that your company wants from you, right? So if you want to learn these additional skills, you can learn it on the side. But so let's say today, if I say you need to know how to design mobile apps and web apps, that designing web apps may not be relevant for you at this point, because maybe your company is focusing, has a mobile app, and that's where all their energy goes in, right? So it's a skill that you need to learn, but is that the next skill you need to learn? I don't think so, right? So depending on what your priorities are and what your goals are, it's pretty much for you to sort of figure out, right? Or if at least you can say, within the next 3 years, I want to get into a company like this, and I want to work on a project like this, I want to work with a team like this. If you the thing is, the more how do I say this, the more clear your goal is, the easier it becomes for you to set your skills, right? A lot of people say, I want to get into a good company. A good company is so vague. What is good company? Is it how much salary you will get? Is it the number of designers? Is it the brand value? Is it B2B, B2C? Good company is so subjective, right? So you need to really specify it. And the thing is, this goal will change very quickly. Within the next 6 months, you will change this goal yourself. And that happens all the time. Because you see things, you get more information, and then you're like, okay, that is very interesting. Maybe I should not do that. And I'll give you a real example, right? So when I started my career at Unacademy, my goal was to stay in Unacademy for 5 years. So I spent the first year trying to understand, how do I stay in Unacademy for 5 years and be a lead designer. And out of nowhere, within 1.5 year, Apple reached out, and then I ended up joining Apple. So my whole career trajectory changed within a year. And so now all the goals that I had created, all the things that I wanted to, all of this completely changed out of nowhere. And then, so when I joined Apple, my career goals became totally different. My requirements, what they wanted from me, all of this changed out of nowhere, right? So this will constantly change for everybody, but having a list of things that you are working towards is very important, and that will only happen if you have a very clear goal in mind, like you can visualize and see it very well, right? And I mean, essentially, this is a design process as well. You're sort of solving for yourself, but you
Yourself.
need to know what
Yeah.
you're trying to solve, right? So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Thank you. Yeah, that's it.
from here. Thank you so much, guys, for asking really, really cool questions in the first place, and obviously Chetan sir answering them like a boss. You know. Next up, we have Purusharth. That's how you pronounce it. I'll call you Puru.
Ah, yeah. People also call me
Awesome.
Purvi. Hey, hi,
Hello.
Chetan. Hey, hi. Finally, the OG is here. Yeah. First
Thank
of
you.
all, thanks, man. Whatever the content you're posting, it really helps me out. So I've been working as a solo designer for past 1.5 years, and as a founding designer for my company, I've like designed like 0 to 1 SaaS products, web app specifically, like expense management systems and uh, AT, ATS systems and all. But like while making all those things now, we have like too many functionalities within the SaaS products, right? I'm like curious to know like how to make a case study out of that. Like when we have like so many things. So this is my first question: like how to make a case study, as my company isn't that mature enough, and they didn't have like a proper, because they have faster designs, like do faster, not even iterations on the design but iterations after the development.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's okay.
So like how to make case studies out of that firstly, where we have too much
So,
things. Yeah.
so is your question what should I write the case study on? Is that the
Yes,
question?
yes, yeah, it is like we have too many things within a web app. uh,
Yeah, so I think you can just pick one or one or two. You don't have to. The world doesn't need to know everything your product offers.
hmm,
No, recruiters don't really care about that. What they want is, can you tell me one problem and can you tell me how you solved it? That's about it, right? So you take something that you feel very confident in talking about. It
hmm,
could be small, it could be big, and this is sort of up to you to sort of find the balance between complexity of projects and the scope of the project, right? If you have something that you've worked on which is very complicated and very big, then you're lucky. But sometimes there could be very small tiny projects
yeah.
that you have to do, right? So I would say use your best judgment. There's honestly no, it's very hard to say what is the right or wrong answer over here, right? The more how do I say, the more easy it is for somebody to understand what you're explaining, the easier it is for you to explain and crack the interview, I would say, right? So yeah, I mean, without much context, that's pretty much the answer I can give you. Yeah.
But still as they're much more focused on progression, right? Not on that quality wala stuff. And we like have to skip many things within process, as designing is not a very linear process, right? So is it like very important or very necessary कि हम to add some randomly like take stuff कि we have done a little research on this or little research on that, or whatever we have done, just like keep it simple on the case study.
Yeah. So I think everybody exaggerates this a little bit
Hmm.
in their work, right? Even I do that. But it's not like if I add anything, it's completely random or out of context or anything like that, right? I'm exaggerating something a little bit, which is fine, right? You're essentially selling your work, and that's okay. The most important thing to realize is that if you are questioned about this, do you have what it takes to defend that, or will you get caught, right? Because the most important, like, one thing to note is senior designers who are looking at your stuff, they can smell bullshit very easily. It takes them zero effort to see what it is, right?
Hmm.
So my recommendation is to be quite honest, because either way you're in trouble, right? If you have not done, let's say, a particular part of the process, or or I don't know, whatever it is, you didn't do something that is good enough to come up with a good solution, you're in trouble. And even if you add something which you are not confident about, you're still in trouble, right, at the end of the day. So you don't really have an advantage over here. If the company didn't let you do it, you didn't get to do it, you didn't want to do it, whatever it is, it's in the past, right? This is the situation you're in, and you just have to make the best use of what you have. And that is how it works for pretty much every other designer. We don't get to choose the projects that we want 90% of the times. We don't get to choose which teams we want to be 90% of the times. And and how and sometimes even how quickly, you don't even get to control how much time you want to spend on this design. If you say, I want to spend a couple of days trying to understand this, and maybe do very quick prototypes and test it with users, and then the team says no, what are you going to do, right? You don't really have a choice here. So
Exactly.
my suggestion is, don't overthink this. um, Make the best of what you have. That's more than enough, to be honest. Right. And the thing is, you presenting your work is just, I don't know, 20% of of you getting a job in a company. You just have to crack that first round and impress the person who's interviewing you. Once your portfolio is done, the next few things are not about your work or your case studies. It's going to be, I don't know, take home assignment, it's going to be a product round, it's going to be a whiteboarding round, it's going to be, I don't know, right? So your job is to just get through that first part of the door and just show how much ever you have in the best way you can. That's about it. The more you overthink this, the more you're inviting unnecessary questions for yourself, right? And as you do more interviews, you will understand yourself, where you're lacking, what are people pointing out, what is this that I think I should start including, right? And so as you get information and you learn from each of these interviews, you quickly go ahead and update your case study or whatever it is, right? And then you present it in the next one. That's basically what I did when I was moving to Germany. I had interviews with like 10 companies. All the companies that I got rejected in, there was something that I really learned, and then I quickly went ahead and kept updating my portfolio. It's not like I added unnecessary things. It's just that I thought of not including it, or I thought of not explaining it enough, but then looked like people wanted to hear about it more, so then I did it, right? And this happens over a period of time, because you need to realize that you cannot apply to one interview and get a job. That is
Mm.
never
Yeah,
ever
yeah,
ever going. You need to understand that this path of interviewing is so stressful and painful for anybody, not just for you, for anybody interviewing. It's a painful process. And you need to you need to visualize that this road is so long that you are walking on, I don't know, spikes for for an entire kilometer before you actually walk on a smooth surface, and you learn and figure things out as you go. So if you try to figure out everything in the first interview, that is never going to happen. So, yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much, man. Secondly, I have a question like, what mature companies actually looks into a designer for like who has 2 years of experience probably? What they actually want, or what any specific core things that they look into in terms of it could be a UI like visuals, it could be motions. Uh, what actually they like look into a designer with
Yeah, I
specifically
think
two
if I
plus year of experience. Yeah.
Yeah. So 2+ becomes a very big category.
Hmm.
So I would say two, pretty much anybody who has 2 years of experience, you're pretty much on the same track. After 2 years, your tracks change completely. So it'll get hard. It'll be hard to give an answer. But if you have 2 years of experience, and if you're talking about mature companies, visual design, top one priority. That is, if AI is the first, if everybody is scared that AI is going to take over designers for UI design, then that means that you have to be at your game when it comes to UI design, right? It does not matter if you are great at web apps or mobile apps, because at the end of the day, it is the same. There are just some
Mm.
nuances between web apps and mobile apps, but your principles of design, how do you design a good looking interface? How do you take multiple elements and create something with how do you take multiple elements and create something with good visual hierarchy? All of this, the behavior is the same, the mentality is the same, the way you make decisions is the same. It's just that one
Mm.
is for mobile and one is for web, right? So visual design, top one priority. Then the next one, what I would say, is your ability to really understand the problem, understand what needs to be done, and how are you going to solve this problem, right? I will give you an example. So for those of you who's listening and may not know, so Trade Republic is a platform where you invest in stocks, and we are also a bank, right? So think of it as, I don't know, Zerodha and Hedge HDFC Bank combined. Think of it that way, right? We recently launched, I think in November or December, we launched a gifting feature where you can gift stocks to other people, right? Now, when I was told we need to design this feature. My first job is to really understand, to start first of all making a list of questions that I need answers to, right? And it's not that, sorry.
No, I have like added noise isolation. Yeah. So it might be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Where was I? Yeah, so the first thing that I did was to gather so many questions, and so obviously we got off all. So all the main engineers, me, designer, and the PM, we were all put into a meeting, and we were told, okay, marketing wants to do this feature, and so we have to build it, and we have to now start figuring out everything. Right? The high level is gift stocks, but it is one of the most complicated features that I've built, that I've designed, and the project is still going on. Right, it's out, but we're still fixing a lot of things. So we got a brief. We made all of us sat down. We made a list of questions. None of us thought about user flow or solution or visuals. Nothing. Considering that this is a big feature, every engineers are going to think about engineering questions. I will think about design and product questions, and then obviously the product manager is going to think about a lot more other things, right? He's going to think about legal, taxation, finance. All of these things are going to play into the role, right? Because essentially legality comes over here, because you're gifting someone. How does taxation apply? All of it gets very complicated, right? But for my point is, if you're a person with 2 years of experience, you need to know how to ask good questions and what questions to ask for you to start solving a problem. And unfortunately, this will only happen if you have worked on good projects. There is no book in the world, there is no YouTube tutorial on the planet, there is no podcast that will teach you this. It is by pure luck that you get to work on something like this. And the more smart people you work with, the more complex the project, and the more well crafted the project is, the better is your ability to ask these questions. You can only create something great only if you have asked enough questions at the end of the day, right? So visual design, number one, your ability to ask good questions and get requirements is essentially number two. But like I said, the unfortunate part is you have zero control of what is going to happen to you in the next 2 years. Right, you can obviously fight for it, and if you don't like the company that you're working in, you can make risky decisions and leave the company and try to find something else. But there is nothing on the planet that can help you learn this. Right, so there has to be somebody who is going to sort of, I don't know, I don't know what's the word, but who's going to work with you to come up with a solution. And to come up with the solution, both of you have to ask very good questions, right? Because a lot of times the design solution you come up with is also influenced by how much engineering can do and what is capable by engineering to do, right? And here I'm not talking about whether the engineer is smart enough to do it, right? If you're working with a shitty engineer, then there is no point of having a good design, right? But if you're working with really smart engineers, but the system, the way the app is built, the way the constraints are that are there in the app prevent you from doing whatever you want, then you need to consider those restrictions and conditions, right? I'll give you a simple example. So let's say if I am gifting a stock, let's say I'm gifting you, I don't know, Nvidia to you, then essentially money is going out of my account and you are getting a stock. So we essentially need to track how is the money being transferred and when is the money being transferred, right? Because we built a feature where I can gift you a stock on your birthday, which is 2 months in advance. So now I'm going to book that 2 months from now. So essentially, I have to place a gift order. So now this money is going to go from my account. What's going to happen to this money? Who's going to hold this money? Is Trade Republic going to hold this money? Are we going to give it to the gifter but not show it to them and then place the order with that money? All of these are so complicated that we need to understand how all of this is built from an engineering standpoint. Only then we can design a solution, because then we will have error states, we will have edge cases, we will have cancellation. So even this small decision is going to impact the rest of the flow, and it can get really complicated, right? So knowing, and this is not just asking product questions, it's about asking engineering questions also. Can we build a flow like this? Is this possible to do this with engineering? Is the system
Yeah.
built in a way that supports this, right? So I'm just giving you an example here, right? But yeah, these are, I would say, the two most important things to have as a 2-year-old designer. Yeah.
Totally understood, man. Couldn't agree with you more. Uh, Finally, like as a solo designer, and as my company is always on progression, right? Faster things.
Yeah.
Anything that I can like effectively persuade or influence my CEO, because I have a lot of conversation with him because I'm the founding designer. Like to adopt something or to like focus on the things and like to make this product better rather than just progression is the only thing. Anything that I can influence on to make this
The
organization work in a better way in terms of product.
the only thing that matters is how open-minded he or she is and is willing to listen. That is the pretty much the number one thing. This is essentially like having a conversation with your parents or your partner or your boyfriend girlfriend. If they are willing to listen to your side of the story and they're willing to consider it, then there is a point in talking, or else how much ever you try, it's not going to happen, right? So
Mm.
pretty much it's the number one thing. And I would say, if let's say assume that he's open minded, he or
Mhm.
she is willing to listen to you and try to consider that, then you have to build a very strong case for it. It is essentially selling why this is important. I'll give you a simple example. If you realize that building a design system for your company, it doesn't have to be the best design system.
Mhm.
Some structure, some consistency, some color palette, some tokens. If you feel that is important and you realize that things are getting so out of hand, you need to go sit with engineers, get buy-in from them, explain to them how this is going to benefit, and then you have to move it on, because essentially the CEO is not going to listen to you alone. If more people are on the same page as you, then the chances of you getting of him basically listening to you increases, right? So first one, how open is he or she to actually listen to you and is willing to make change. And number two is, you need to really build a case for whatever it is that you want to sell, right? And it has to be with proof, not because some other company is doing it, not because you feel like it. And depending on what is it that you want to change, what you have to do essentially is different, right? You can't so yeah, essentially that, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man, for all the answers. And thanks, Vansh, for having Chetan over here.
Awesome, man. All thanks to Chetan sir for doing this. And I'll plug in what he's trying to do. He just dropped 3 announcements, right? So I think it will be better to give this thing to Chetan and promote it, because it's his thing and I wanted to make it his thing completely. तो चेतन आप बता दो कि क्या 3 चीज़ें आपने अनाउंस करी थी and what are you offering?
I mean, it's essentially two things, and I don't like to sell these things, but I'm just doing it as a formality. I don't know how many of you already know this, but whoever is probably going to watch this stream later, I essentially released a web app course that a lot of people have been asking me for years and years, and this is something that I wanted to do, but I've never. So, to be very honest, this story started almost 2 years ago, where I was using ADP List as a mentor, and I realized that it is not a great platform at all, and it has so many problems. So I ended up joining their Slack group as a mentor, and then I saw all the complaints that mentors have, and I thought I should make a course redesigning ADP List. But the speed at which they started launching features, I couldn't, sort of catch up to it, and it just became too complicated for me, and I sort of lost track of time. And then I saw Fold Money when they came out with the mobile app, and then I sort of released my free course with that. And they also have a web app, and I thought, if I've done Fold Money redesign, people might want to watch this. And so then I essentially worked on this. I was supposed to launch this 6 months ago, but I got so busy, and I even like I recorded this 3 times, the entire course almost, because when I was editing, I realized this design does not look good. What am I saying? This logic makes no sense. You're just blabbering, Chetan. You need to redo this. So I had to do it. So I ended up delaying it. So in short, it's out, and I think you can get a subscription today. From February 1st, which is, I don't know, 2 days later, I'll be increasing the prices, and I will focus more on one-on-one tutoring, which is sort of the second announcement. People have a problem with the pricing, so I'm looking into that, and I'm seeing what is the best that I can do for everyone. I haven't made any decision, but hopefully on February 1st, or maybe a few days after that, I will figure something out. So yeah, in short, if I really have to sell this, what I will say is most people actually want to get multiple sessions with me, which is nice because that is the best way to learn. But what I'm trying to do is I'm not asking payment for the whole thing upfront. So you can book once, you can book like you can pay for per session before the session, so that you don't have to make a very long term commitment, and it's totally left to you when you want to take the session. Obviously, you will get the discounted price at the end on the last session, so that it's fair for everybody, and I don't get taken advantage of, and you get to not make a very big financial commitment in the beginning. And you get to see whether you even like my feedback and you like working with me, and if my feedback is even relevant to you, right? So yeah, this is the most I've ever sold in 5 years, because I've never run a YouTube ad or an Instagram ad. But yeah, that's about it.
It's totally fine, Chetan, and you should do it more. I keep promoting Chetan here and there because I keep motivating him. Ki, bhai, you are doing so much, and I think the designers who don't know who Chetan is, I think they are living under a rock. So that's that. And one question before I give the other three. How Chetan, how's it like living there in Germany as a designer? Are there any events happening here and there, and how's the design life other than the company side? Because how do you personally enjoy design over there as a person? That's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah, nice question. I don't have time to enjoy design life here. That is the number one thing. I have been to a few events and things like that, but I would say the one biggest difference that I've seen between Indians and Europeans over here is that we are brought up with a very hustle culture and environment, and it's not easy to grow up in India compared over, because life is very easy for everybody over here. The rules are pretty simple. The population is less, so things work as expected over here. But in India, they say that India is not for beginners, so it's true. It's not easy, right? And I would always love to spend time in India when it comes to the design scene. Here, not so much. I've been to a couple of events here and there, but I don't get that enthusiasm and energy that I've seen in India, because I've been on the both sides. I've been like a student learning sort of design, and looking up to all of these great influencers and this and that, and I've been on the other side as well, so I've seen both. Here somehow I feel like people don't have that excitement and energy to really push themselves. There are a lot of amazing designers, but they're very hush hush. Nobody even knows sort of who they are over here. But in India, we like to typically Indians like to show off, and they care about all of these things essentially. So yeah, that's that. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering. And I'll give this to wait, Thankalashmi.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so I have two questions. I'm a fresh designer. As a new designer, I sometimes feel like I run out of creative ideas, and I feel stuck to come up with new and original design ideas. So, what are some ways I can keep my creativity fresh and avoid feeling drained?
Got it. Cool. So, also, if you can, yeah, mute yourself. Yeah, that's fine. There was some background noise, but yeah, um, you're not going to like my answer. But your job is not to be creative when you're a beginner. That is not your job. Um, I have spent a lot of time thinking about whether I am creative or not, and what does creativity even mean in the first place, right? If I ask myself, Chetan, are you creative? It is very hard for me to answer because I don't even know what is the definition of being creative. I have created a lot of stuffs, even things like YouTube thumbnails requires a bit of creativity. But is that what I call as creative? As a fresher for, I don't know, 2 years or whatever, or 2 3 years, your job is not to be creative. It is to understand what do it is to. So let me put it this way: creativity comes only when you have identified 100 different patterns, because they say that there is nothing that is original in the world anymore. Everything is an inspiration of something, right? And how different is it from the patterns that exist is essentially creativity, right? The Like for example, I mean, I can take a random example, right? When iPhone came out, that was considered as a creative thing because the status quo was that all phones have keyboards, right? And it's not like Steve Jobs came up with this screen, with keyboardless screen on the first day. He knew that these are all the patterns that exist. And so I don't like any of these patterns. So I'm going to create something new, right? And not everybody is capable of coming up with an idea like that. It is essentially how you are wired, your natural skills, your genes, all of this sort of plays a role in how creative you are. So today, I don't think I'm a creative person, but I am very good at looking at 10 different things and coming up with something that is a combination of all of them, which still looks original and not like a copy, right? Every year, I make this exercise where I redesign all my thumbnails, and every time I put out for every year, it has a very different visual language. So if you go back, I don't know, 2015 or 2020, the thumbnails were very different than what I have today, right? And that is essentially because I have tried to do so many types of thumbnails, and I keep improving every time I do it, because I have spent an entire year gathering all these information, these resources, these ideas, these patterns, and I've also built a taste over a period of time. I think building that taste is so important, because you can only be creative. You are only going to do something that you will enjoy. You are never going to launch something or design something that you don't like, right? So, like, I mean, it could be as simple. For example, I like the color black. Why? I don't know why I like the color black. So anything that I buy, whether it's a shirt, whether it's a bottle, I mean, I have 15 objects on my table. All of them are black. Why? I don't know, right? So I have built that taste over a period of time. Why? I don't really know, right? So if I ever sell a product, a physical product, most likely it is going to be black in color, or at least it's going to have black color, right? So you should not worry about being creative. It is not your job at all, and that is too much pressure to do. It's like asking somebody to be ready for IIT within second standard of school, right? That's not the time to be creative. So spend a lot of time understanding all the patterns, and you should be able to design something that looks like other apps also. It doesn't have to be a copy, but it has to look little similar, follow basic patterns, and you should be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So one more question. So, designing sometimes feels like it is an opportunity for people with more opportunities, and it seems like it's easier to succeed in if you have networking connections and good communication skills. And I've seen a lot of reels, creating designers creating contents. So it's feel heavy as a new designer. So is it really important to get into content creation or posting my works on online to have a
Uh,
stable future?
so, I will answer this in a very different way. There is only one guy on this planet who has made me the designer I am today. He essentially, when I worked at Unacademy, there was a senior designer, and he is the only one who has coached me, and he has completely changed my way of thinking when I worked with him for 1 year. He was the one who properly mentored me, taught me everything, and without him, I would have not been the guy I am today. Nobody knows who he is. Nobody knows who he is. In fact, even, I mean, he left an academy a while ago. Even all the people who were at an academy, people, we don't really know what he's actually doing in life. I mean, we know on LinkedIn and things like that, but personal life, we have no clue. He trained me, and he's a nobody, which proves that he has barely shared his work online. I don't even think he has shared even a small piece of his work online. um, he has never been invited to podcasts or interviews. He has never made a reel. He doesn't even post on his own Instagram, like even personal stuff, that much. So, and he's just one of the examples that I'm telling you. And the question that you're asking is very fair, and a lot of people have that, only because you're only seeing these people. You are not seeing the other silent people who are way, way, way more successful than these people, right? You have just seen, I don't know, 10 people, but there are 100 people who are Like, so I'll tell you this, all the when I was starting out, all the people who I looked up to, all of these guys have disappeared from social media now. They barely post anything, you barely see a tweet from them. And they didn't none of them were content creators. They were sort of famous people because they would, tweet a bit here and there, and they would be invited to talks and all of that, but that's about it. That was so average. So, and your job as a designer, please do not waste time making content, doing anything that does not directly add to your skills. You are only going to be valued based on your skills. That's about it. It may give you some opportunities, but that opportunity is not equal to a job. It is an opportunity. You have to make use of that, and you cannot make use of that if you are not good at what you do. So yes, that's what I would say.
Thank you so much.
Nice.
Moving on to Ramya and Snehal, but before I give them the opportunity to speak, please guys, can you turn on the cameras so that it's easier for Chetan also to see who's asking the question, and it's good for interactivity because there are people watching you live. Is that possible, Ramya and Snehal?
I'm having some network issues, so I'm keeping it turned off for that reason.
All right,
But
no
I can.
issues, no issues. You can proceed, Ramya, with over.
Thank you. Hey, Chetan. Uh, so I would like to understand. So Divya already asked my question, so I'm gonna have to change my question. So I would like to understand your process. So, say Chetan gets a PRD from the PM. So what's your process from receiving the PRD till handing off the designs? Like take us through your process over the years. How did Chetan from An Academy deal with this PRD and stuff, and how are you dealing with it now, working in Czech Republic?
Yeah, there has obviously definitely been a very big change in the way I design right now. But, and I think this is common also for everybody. If you're an ordinary designer starting out, I think everybody starts this way. I actually never worked with a lot of PRDs at Unacademy. I think Unacademy was still small, and the PMs were also, not super experienced. They had some experience, so we never really worked with that many PRDs. I think they had PRDs, but that was just for them and the leadership. But it wasn't really for designers. At least I never worked with many PRDs at an academy. But um, not all projects that I work on come with a PRD, because you don't need a PRD for every single project. At least a designer doesn't need. It is essentially a product manager's job to create a PRD and sort of have it, because it is going to be used by multiple other teams, and PRD is not just for a designer. So half of the projects that I worked here at a Trade Republic, I don't really look at a PRD, or I'm not given one, or I don't even ask for one, because I sometimes, if I'm fixing something that is already solved, or if there's an improvement, I already have all the context. I just need a few information. I need to understand the very high level goal. How do we know that this is a problem? How do we know that we have to solve this, and what is the impact? If I just have a conversation with somebody for half an hour, I'll get all the information, right? But the biggest change that I have seen myself do, is I would jump to conclusions or solutions or visualize screens very quickly when I was at an academy. And
Right.
that is natural because you only have the ability to think this much. Like, this is all you can think, because you only know this much,
Yeah.
right? When you start off, you don't know what you don't know, and as with more experience, you start considering 100 different things over a period of time. So that's how I started. I would quickly jump to solutions very quickly. I realized that iterating with highly polished screens, or not even if not polished, very high fidelity screens, is what I like to do. For me, what works is I need to really look at a screen in order to even think. I can't, look at something in the sky, or just wander. I do that sometimes, but if I have to figure out how do I construct the screens, I have to really look at it, right? But sometimes I do, obviously, when I'm, I don't know, cooking or walking, or waiting at the bus stop, I keep thinking about things. How do we solve this? What are the pros and cons of this? Okay, I need to ask this question because I got stuck over here. So that keeps happening in the background, right?
Yeah.
And that is a habit that you build over a period of time, where you're constantly thinking about something. And sometimes I have thought about a particular thing for 2 to 3 weeks, and then suddenly one day I sit on my laptop and then I design something or I come up with that solution. But it has taken me, I don't know, what, 2 to 3 weeks of constant thinking and trying to analyze all of this and understand if this makes sense or not, right? Especially with the whole gifting project, that's how it happened. um, one of the good things that I like about my process right now is today I don't jump to solutions unless it's very straightforward, right? If the problem is very small and I have so much context of it, I know how the solution is going to turn out. And there are always going to be projects like that for everybody. But sometimes, as the scope is bigger and it is new context for you, it requires you to first, take a step back and look at everything, because now you have the ability to look at 100 different things before you think of something. You're essentially, like, I don't know, checking things off a list, right? Before understanding that this is a solution that would make sense. When I
Right.
was a beginner at an academy, I only had like 5 things in my list. Today I have 100 things in my list before I actually start designing something. But but the thing is, sometimes you also have to design at least a basic flow for you to start questioning things. So when we launched this gifting feature, we came up with the most easiest, simplest flow possible ever. That is where we started. It was like, I don't know, I think like 5 6 screens, and that's about it. And then we all of us were looking at these screens, and obviously this was my job mainly. I put all these 6 screens in front of me, and then I was looking at, okay, every single screen, what are all the things that I need to think about? Engineering things, product related, design related, user flow related. Do I need to get any information? Do I need to talk to users? Do I need to speak to PMs? What do I need to do for every single screen? And then it just started branching out so much. Then we came up with 100 different edge cases. We figured out, okay, how do we make sure that fraudsters are not going to make use of this? Can they hack these links? How do we send a gift? What are the various ways we want to send the gift? So uh, it takes time and experience to actually build this ability to know what questions to ask over a period of time. So that is probably the most biggest change in the way I work right now. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much, Chetan.
Okay.
Last up, we have Snehal. Snehal, are you there? The funny part is Ramya just opened her camera for thanks. I'm like,
Yeah, I realized that.
Snehal, are you there? I think she's AFK. I'll remove. Awesome. Uh, there are 2 3 questions in the chat for you, Chetan.
Okay.
One person is asking, is it good to specialize in one domain or be a generalist?
I don't know what is domain, to be honest. Um, I don't think you should. Yeah, I think specialization is not something you do in the beginning. It's something you do at the end, right? I mean, if you think about it, right, any profession that you take in the world, any profession, nobody says, I want to just do this. I mean, when you do engineering or BCom or whatever, you don't say, I will only do, I don't know, corporate law, or I will only do surgeries. That's not how you start learning. You get an idea of the entire thing, and then later on you specialize into one specific thing. That's typically how you're supposed to do, right? So it's okay to have favorites. It's okay to want to do something. Like, I'll give you an example. When I started my career, I had no preference of where I wanted to work. No company, no industry, B2B, B2C, internal tools, back end, front end. I didn't really care. My job, I just wanted to work with a good design team. That was my requirement. But when I was moving to Germany, I realized that I don't want to work in food tech. I don't want to work in ed tech. I want to work in finance. So after working at Apple, after working at an academy, I realized, okay, finance is something that I really like and I enjoy. And this is something which it's a difficult, I mean, all problems are difficult to solve, but I've seen enough of Swiggy, Zomato. I've seen enough of Uber. I feel like I haven't seen good financial products in India. We don't have really good neobanks. Some of the designs are terrible. Even the investing platforms, they're fine. I mean, Zerodha is the probably the best, but then everybody else has subpar design. The normal banking app that we use, I mean, I'm not even going to comment on that, right? So I realized I want to go somewhere where I have knowledge about, obviously, because I did CA. I sort of understand the world of finance, but I want to work in fintech. And I also knew that fintech is where you will designers are valued very much, because in order to get customers, you don't have an offline branch. Everything happens on the app. So there is no way that your app can be bad. It can have poor experience. So I realized this is where designers will actually be valued the most. So I just applied to fintechs.
All right.
Yep.
So Snehal apparently could not turn on her mic because of some technical issues. She has few questions, but I think we don't have time. And I'm so sorry, Snehal, if you're watching this, because I have to let go Chetan because we value time for each and every one. Don't worry. You can DM Chetan your questions, and Chetan is super duper active when it comes to answering on DMs because I think he loves to mentor people, but he's a little shy also. And he has a silver lining of, if you want me, you have to go do a little effort and DM me, because he is making such a big effort. So I think that's what I love about Chetan. And thank you so much, Chetan sir, for actually doing this, and thank you so much, guys, for asking such lovely doubts.
Thank
One
you,
crazy
everyone.
announcement that we'll be, as Chetan sir is coming to India, in Bangalore specifically. We'll be doing a crazy meetup in Bangalore with the designers. If you are in Bangalore, do come say hi to us. The announcements, if you guys just follow us on Instagram or follow Chetan sir on Instagram, you'll get it. And that's it. We'll take a leave for this meeting. I have a few announcements. Everyone can leave here from the meeting. And thank you so much, sir, and see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you all.
Bye, guys.
See you.
Thank you.
Guys, don't leave, don't leave, don't leave. Give me 1 second. Let me turn on my camera. Yes, I am live. All right. This was a really cool session, and I know a lot of people are curious about a lot of things here and there in their lives. But that's where we come in. What we are trying to do is something crazy. So अभी तो बहुत सारे events चल रहे हैं guys, ठीक है? आज ये खत्म हुआ, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, 1st and 2nd Feb, we have our own workshop planned in Mumbai, which is for UX research and how you can actually do research in a way. Either you are a freelancer, either you are an entrepreneur, either you are working in a company as a product designer, whatever it is, user research will help you in, because obviously it's based on products. Because products exist, services exist, we designers exist, and that's how it goes. So if you really want to register for it, do let me know. uh, Quickly join the WhatsApp group right now, because I'll be dropping in the main announcement that we did in the start. That is, if you missed, we have announced a 10,000 INR competition, which will be happening on 22nd and 23rd of February ko, with none other than Akshita. She is coming back. We did this Brandcraft workshop season 1 back in July, and now we are back at it, and it's going to be huge. It's going to be much much better. Last time कोई competition नहीं था, इतना ज़्यादा crazy competition नहीं था. इस बार बहुत crazy competition है. Coming to the Bangalore meetup is, we still have time. It's gonna happen in April. So उसमें time है अभी, रोहित. But focus on the WhatsApp group. तो quickly join एक बार. आप join कर लोगे तो I'll approve you. I can see a lot of people have already requested. So I'll take names. We have Shiv, we have Venkat, we have Monil. Everyone is joining the group. I'll be dropping the announcement first in the group tonight, so that you all get the priority to sign up for the workshop. And as it's first come first serve, we'll be actually sending you all the posts accordingly. Post for what? For payments. It's gonna be a 10,000 rupee challenge for everyone. The winner will be one. एक बंदा जीतेगा वो. And there will be only 100 people invited for this. Only 100 का reason बहुत careful है, बहुत simple है, because if you are investing 500 rupees, right? If you are investing even a single rupee at Designer, I'll tell you what happens. There are thousands and thousands of courses that you can buy. There are thousands of other competitions for free that you can take part in, but there is no transparency. We are super duper transparent and hospitable, and that's what we do, and that's what we specialize in. तुम लोग जाके YouTube का बैनर देख सकते हो हमारा. I can show you right now. उस पे इंडिया का flag and it says bringing the design revolution of India. And when I say that, I mean it, because it's gonna be really really cool to see India being the design hub of the world. That will be so cool. And कौन लीड करके लाया उसको? डिजाइनर. सो बहुत सारी चीज़ें प्लान है. आई वोंट ओवरवेलम यू. एक एक करके सारी चीज़ें बताऊंगा. बट अभी ब्रांड क्राफ्ट इज़ रियली इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर एवरी वन. कोई दिल्ली के अंदर है, सो वी आर डूइंग अ कूल very super duper exclusive event in Delhi called Roundtable, where we are flying down some of the top people in design space who have over 25 years of experience, right? So सब कुछ हम अपडेट करते रहते हैं इन आर ब्रॉडकास्ट चैनल और इंस्टा पेज, एंड हमारे स्टोरीज पे रहता है इंस्टा पेज हर जगह, इंस्टा इंस्टा पे हर जगह हम लोग. Then you can join our Discord server, right? If you go to our YouTube homepage, you'll find links, and in that there is Designer ka server. So you can join that, interact with 13,000 more people that are there in the server. So it's huge. It's huge, obviously, for everyone to understand कि क्या क्या चल रहा है in the industry, and it's easier for you also to get overwhelmed. So मैं एक चीज़ बताता हूँ, एक सिंपल सी चीज़ है. लॉजिक बहुत क्लियर है कि आपको हर चीज़ का आंसर मिल सकता है आज. आपको बस जाना है, एक अपना ऐसा एआई टूल ढूंढना है जो आप ट्रस्ट करते हो, एंड बस उससे सब कुछ पूछ लो. उसको रोल डिफाइन करोगे, सब मिल जाएगा. यू डोंट नीड एनी वन फॉर बेसिक क्वेश्चन टुडे. आज एक कोई भी फील्ड के अंदर आप जाओ, आपको हर चीज़ का आंसर मिलेगा. दिस गाय वॉज आस्किंग, वेद वॉज आस्किंग, what is his take, what is Chetan's take on freelancing or building your own micro projects. I will say, Ved, don't listen to anyone. Do what you think will be the best at the specific given time that you are in right now. For Hyderabad, Pune, and Indore, these 3 chapters are going to be announced really soon, and obviously Jaipur. So ये 4 chapters हैं जो हम announce करने वाले हैं very soon. So stay tuned for that. Just after Bangalore meetup, we are gonna be touching down on these areas. I'm still a college student, तो मेरे को बहुत डिफिकल्टी होती है टू मैनेज एवरी सिंगल थिंग, बट आई एम स्टिल डूइंग all I can, and I want each and every one of you to tag us on our stories, right? जल्दी जाना टैग करना a session with the Chetan sir, and do tag design pilot, that is Chetan sir, ताकि उनको दिखेगा कि आपने एक्चुअली में कितना सीखा, राइट? इट्स ऑल अबाउट विजिबिलिटी टुडे, एंड जल्दी से व्हाट्सएप लिंक ज्वाइन करो सब लोग. आई एम ड्रॉपिंग द अनाउंसमेंट राइट नाउ. I see there are about 90 members in the group, and these 90 so 90 तो हो भी गया ना. If these 90 apply all together, it's done and dusted over there. So that's it. Vanshika is asking, I have a doubt, is it necessary to have a graphic designing degree? No, Vanshika, I'll tell you what I think about design degrees. So design degrees today, if you go and check, they are charging even like basic, not even NIFTs and HD to और ही महंगा है. HD is like touching 5 lakhs now. Normal design colleges, like take NMIMS for example, right? NMIMS हो गया, these private colleges, or even like government तो छोड़ ही देते हैं. Let's just put aside the government वाला part. Uh, these normal private, not top tier private colleges, basic tier design colleges are charging approximately 2.5 to 3 lakh rupees per year, right? For 4 years to 5 years, it's gonna touch, mostly with taxes and everything, you're gonna touch approximately 25 lakhs. ठीक है? तो आपका 4 साल का 25 लाख आपका जा रहा है. एच डी तो आप भूल ही जाओ. इज ISDI, NIFT, और पता नहीं कितने कितने क्रेजी क्रेजी MID, पता नहीं क्या क्या है. पुणे के अंदर बहुत सारे हैं. ये लोग इतना ज़्यादा चार्ज करते हैं फॉर वॉट? टुडे यू कैन जस्ट गो थ्रू चेतन सर के चैनल पे, सारी वीडियोस भी देख लोगे ना, तुमको पूरी डिज़ाइन नॉलेज आ जाएगी अबाउट UI UX एंड हाउ टू बी अ प्रोडक्ट डिज़ाइनर एज अ होल, राइट? सो it's very simple that everything is available for free today. You don't need a degree. Do I have a degree to run a design community? No, you don't need it. How do you get a hold on all of the top designers and how to reach out? So the funny thing is, a lot of designers reach out to us because we are a huge community now. But beforehand, मैं धीरे धीरे small scale designers को लेके आता था, and I showed them the work, and it's all about proof of work, right? धीरे धीरे करके it will happen. You're not gonna bang on lock in with Chetan for a free call for free, right? There has to be something that he is also getting in return. So it's all about give and take. Obviously I paid. इधर उधर बहुत सारी चीज़ें चलती रहती, तो if you can afford to then do that. Companies only hire those who have specific degree. No, Shiv. मेरा माइंडसेट क्या कहता है कि खुद की जॉब बनाओ. कैसे? कंपनी खोलो. मैं तो वही बोलता हूँ, राइट? आई कॉल माई सेल्फ द सो कॉल्ड कम्युनिटी किंग बिकॉज आई हैव डन इट ट्वाइस. This is the first startup was obviously entrepreneur wali, sorry, this designer, and now I'm starting another community which I've already started, and I have over 1,000 members in that already in 15-20 days, is because I post content and I know what the people actually really want from me. अभी देखो मेरे से 50 लोग सुन रहे हैं मेरे को. I'm damn clear with what I'm trying to say. With all the instruction, I'm jumping from one direction to another direction like a snap. एकदम से snap में change करो तो हर चीज starts with you. Everything starts with you. इसको ठीक करोगे, बोलना बोलना सीखोगे, कॉन्फिडेंस आएगा, अपने आप चीज़ें अच्छी होती जाएंगी. उसके बाद आप धीरे 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 करके स्किल्स अपने पक्के करिए. इट्स गोना बी रियली रियली ईजी फॉर यू देन, बिकॉज कोई भी अपने पे फोकस नहीं करता, राइट. एवरी वन लव्स टू लर्न स्किल्स विच आर अवेलेबल आउट देयर, बट कोई अपने को नहीं देखता. मास्टरिंग योर सेल्फ इज ऑल्सो अ स्किल. I have done that, and only then I was able to get these people in. I was only able to build this community. I was only able to think about what I'm gonna do actually. You understand? As a beginner or a junior designer, what are skills and values that will be essential for the career? As a beginner, I think you should completely focus on showcase of your work, right? Obviously, if you are in the creative field, say for example, you are into branding, more colors and stuff, you require a specific skill set that you need to develop, that only you will be able to do when you will actually, go out there and design and post about it every single day. मैं दिखाता हूँ. I have this Twitter profile of mine, right? You can see over here, this is on the background on my banner. If I click it, दिखता है क्या? Yes, perfect. So you can see, okay, wait, reflection आ रही. You can see ये Figma फाइल है गाइस पीछे मेरी. इतने सारे डिजाइन मैंने बनाए हैं तो जाके मैं सीखा हूँ. आई थिंक आई हैव क्रिएटेड ओवर 10,000 स्क्रीन इन टोटल. सो उतना सीखना पड़ता है तो जाके आप आते हो, एंड दैट्स इट. और ज़्यादा चपड़ चपड़ नहीं करूँगा. एक दिन विल कीप अ प्रॉपर सेशन विद मी, and I'll be answering your doubts because I really love to talk to you all, and I'll be very, very upfront and clear about it. So it's gonna be really cool. I'm dropping the link right now in the WhatsApp group in 10 minutes. So join the WhatsApp group right now from the pinned comment. And thank you so much everyone for joining in. You are one step closer towards building your careers to a next level. Do watch it again if you have any doubts with Chetan. देख लेना, कुछ चीज़ें नहीं समझी तो रिवाइंड कर करके देखना, ज़्यादा मज़ा आता है. मैं भी करता हूँ ये बहुत सारे सेशंस के साथ, तो करना चाहिए. And that's it. Do tag me in the stories if you can. I love to repost on Designer. And अगर मेरे को मेरा चैनल, मेरा पर्सनल अकाउंट तुम लोगों को दिखता है तो उस पर भी कर देना टैग. Alright. Thank you so much you all, and I have huge respect for everyone to give this 1.5 hours towards your careers. Thank you so much. Have a great day and have a good night. Bye bye.